This is part 2 of my interview with Transformers Cyberverse story editor Randolph Heard. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, be sure to check that out first. Or don't. You do whatever you want to do. Let's go. So in Season 3, the show was rebranded to Bumblebee, Cyberverse Adventures.
Wasn't it, though, Transformers, Bumblebee, Cyberverse Adventures?
Yes.
What a shock that was.
God, I'm assuming that was Hasbro, not an artistic decision by the writers.
No, I mean, if I was going to do something like that, I'd make it like 10 words long, like so that we'd be known as the show with the longest title ever. Yeah, that just came down the pike, and there was nothing to do about it. And and I just pretended that was just not there, but it was there, and it's fine.
Like Bumblebee had like the smallest role ever in that season. He's
I know.
like 8 episodes.
We dropped him. You know, it's a lot of juggling went on, and like Windblade had a more diminished role, and I love both those characters. But we just, there's so many people we wanted to introduce as well, and so the Bumblebee Adventures. I mean, he's always been seen, I think, as the core, most attractive to younger kids character. So whether or not he was featured, he's in the title.
Nice. The last 6 episodes of Season 2 seemed like very casual standalone adventures, but then it turns out that all of them were set up for Season 3 and the Quintessence arc. So how much of Season 3 was planned back in Season 2? And the same with Season 4 back in Season 3?
Season 2, I think from previous work I've done, I've sort of seen how like sometimes showrunners will set things up so there's a mid-season like a blowout, and then you start a new arc. And that arc stuff can be like exhausting and cool, but exhausting. And like, I just felt like we only have a certain amount of episodes, less than a normal show. They're only 11 minutes. And I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to explore other things in Transformers than just, say, the Starscream conflict. So then we started doing these standalones that were really fun for us, and got new characters in. And, but yeah, we did have the idea that I'm going to say Quintessence, which I know is hotly contested.
End this Quintessence invasion. I'm no Quintessence.
As I understand it, the original pronunciation, and the word comes from a restaurant that's near Hasbro. I just felt like I don't like that. And so I'm going to change it to Quintessence, which no one likes.
So that was a deliberate thing.
Oh, absolutely. And I had no idea that like people would be dissatisfied with that, and that's fine, because fortunately I was sitting there and I could just do it, so I did it. Anyway, so I'm gonna say Quintessence. Like I forgot now what the question is though. I've lost myself in my own self-rambling.
We were asking how much was planned in advance.
So we knew we were going to bring them in. I think we had definitely thought about that, because like we were thinking about that when the Sharktacon's planet had been destroyed. Our idea was that it had been done by the Quintessence, that they kidnapped a lot of the population, which we didn't say out loud, but that's why they're in, the next season helping the Quintessence. And that we also felt that when they meet the Titan, there's a sort of depiction of an attack, and we felt that was probably from the Quintessence as well. So we would put more in, but again, time limitations and stuff. So and we had a lot of fun on those standalones. But we tried to plan ahead, yeah.
While we're on the topic of Quintessence, something that I've joked about on the channel
a lot
is that I did a lot of like little Transformers fan videos, and my actor for a character for Lockdown, he couldn't pronounce Quintessence right, so he always said Quintessence.
Your EMP. I needed to infiltrate a Quintessence research outpost.
In my things that I released like a year before.
Right.
Then also, like, there's some instances where, like, exact lines of dialogue from my stuff wound up, like, in Cyberverse, 1-to-1, said by the same character.
Are you serious? What character are you talking about?
Starscream says, "I am the Allspark."
I am the Allspark.
In an episode I came up with where he takes control of the Allspark, and then, like, a year and a half later, he says the same line of dialogue.
I am the Allspark.
In an episode called I Am the Allspark. Can you confirm that you did not steal my Google Docs from middle school?
Oh, everything. We've been following you since, like, I think early elementary school.
Oh my
and
God.
Watching and seeing what we could steal, and then it finally came out. Right? Yeah, that was definitely you. And I wish you hadn't said that, because now Hasbro will have to pay you a lot of money.
Oh, great.
So yeah,
I'm so
but
excited.
yeah, that's funny.
Then the last question for season 3. The writers and the voice actors receive most of the fandom's attention when it comes to discourse about Cyberverse. Is there anyone else on the staff and crew that you would want to shout out?
Sure. I mean, obviously, this was animated by Boulder Studios in Dublin. And I think Ehud Landsberg, who did our season 4 and was with us from the beginning, is an outstanding director. And particularly what you want in a director, well, you want many things. One thing is timing, to understand how to do the timing right for an episode. But, you know, there were a lot of things going on. The pandemic, you know, our CG was being done in India. India was hit really hard. And he really came through all throughout. But also Mike Hauser and Kerry Weisenberg, Hasbro executive who took over for the 4th season, helped shepherd that through to completion. But really, Dublin is sort of a mecca for animation, I think, because of the tax laws in Ireland. There's a lot of studios there, and so a lot of European talent comes to Dublin, and just our designers. If only you guys could see the Art of Cyberverse book or something, you know, we would just be blown away every week when we got the designs, because like things like guns or specific kind of tiny little things were beautifully designed. Any one of them I would have liked to have a 3D, you know, model of, and it was overly beautiful, like because you only saw them for a little bit on screen, which is why like a book of the Art of Cyberverse would be great. You see some of the artists on Twitter, you know, posting their work, but it was just amazing. We had the cream of like European talent, I feel, for that. So definitely a shout out to them. And of course, you know, our voice actors got a lot of attention, but they were so good, so sweet, and so game to take on like different characters and stuff. It was a pleasure working with them.
Now we can shift to season 4, the final season.
Season 4, the final season, yes.
So you guys sneakily hid that season 4 was going to exist.
Yeah.
Was this just Hasbro not ready to announce it yet, or were you guys just being funny?
Well, you know, there's a thing like there is a few like you kind of feel like it's Hasbro's thing. You should announce it first. And what's funny is Ehud, our director, actually said that the show was over at one point, and that got widely picked up after season 3. And I thought that was really funny and great, because you know that really did put a nail in the coffin. And yet that coffin was going to open, and the dead would rise again for season 4. So we heard about season 4 very late though, and it was just like a circumstance that we got lucky. There was like an opening in their schedule, and there's something like, could you do a season 4? Could you highlight the Dinobots? And could you bring an ending to the show? Which, oh my God, you know, how many shows get canceled and there's not an ending, and you like watch the episodes, you know there's not an ending, but you still like really love the show, and you get there and you're like, we should have an ending.
Every Transformers show.
Every Transformers show, right?
Walk out the door, you see someone that you know, and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Right, and so I felt like a really rare opportunity. And then for me, the way it turned out, everything came together. We had the idea very early on how it would end, and I really like it. So,
what is the story behind the fans getting acknowledged on the tablets?
Okay, so 2 things. First of all, we were delighted. You know, like we're on Twitter. You know, we're watching things, and to see people making videos about our show, whether they were extremely positive or not, like, was awesome, you know, and we were so excited. We would watch them in the writer's room together.
You could argue that the show is just getting started and they'll get to it, but I'd argue if you've just had 2 episodes of your show that haven't introduced the emotional vulnerabilities and ambitions of your lead characters, you're doing something horribly wrong.
Yeah, we were delighted. And you know, the other half of this is Cyberverse has never been reviewed by any media. I think Common Sense Media watched our first episode, and they're a site that judges things whether they're, you know, too intense for kids or not. Nobody reviewed us. Nobody has ever reviewed us. Like, and we feel really slept on. I feel like in my industry, in the animation industry, I don't think anybody has seen this show except for people who worked on it, and that's like not great for one's career. I feel like we did a great job. I don't think anyone has seen it. Any executive I talked to, they know Transformers, but they have never seen it. and it's because of its odd scheduling, right? It's a show that first time in my life I couldn't really tell people, well, it's on. They drop on YouTube on Wednesdays, but at 6:30 in the morning on Cartoon Network, but now this season, so it's kind of a drag, and we're not in the age of Blu-ray, box sets. God, I would love that, where you could just collect it all and have, something that you could really judge, But we've never been reviewed, and that's always been sad. Like, a little tear for that. So the YouTubers have been really important to us, to have fan response, and it's been great. And so yeah, putting them in, that made perfect sense. Because I don't think we have the same attitude a lot of shows do. I don't really understand it. I feel like maybe our fans are human beings. This is my guess. I'm thinking that, and I think we are human beings. There's really not a lot of difference between us, and we're making this show, and you guys are making something, and I think that's awesome. And through Twitter and stuff, we're able to communicate, and so I think we've always been really into that.
That's awesome. So was it the writers themselves who decided which names would be displayed on the tablets?
I think it was a combination, because I think we offered some, the Hood offered some. And but they were all people that we, except for you, they were all people we approved of.
Awesome.
We tried to get your name off and misspell it and all that kind of stuff, but it just didn't. It just got stuck on that tablet. So yeah,
just
I don't know
how
how
to
that
bury
happened.
the fact that you stole all of my ideas from middle school.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
When was that done production wise? Because I didn't change my channel name to Kia and Carlisle until very recently, earlier this year.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Well, I mean, like I said, it's been in work since elementary school. When you were in elementary school, we had planned it, and then it probably got done around then, because that is, I don't know how late he turned it in, but obviously he turned it in after that, because it was happening in Ireland. That's where he turned in the stuff, and we didn't really get a chance to copy it at the writing and stuff, so that's why it's spelled the way it is. But are you happy that you got in there?
Yeah, I was telling people I was spending the night with some friends or up in the state, and I just couldn't stop talking about it. It was so. I'm in a Transformers show and you're not. Yeah, I know.
That's awesome. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting, isn't it? It's really thrilling to have your name in something like that. So that was what we wanted to do, and I'm glad that people really enjoyed it. It's great.
Are there any cut characters or stories that stick out to you?
Right. The path's not taken. So we talked about so many characters and so many different possibilities. Even at the very beginning, we were talking about how the idea of everything should transform on Cyberverse, whether it's their furniture, their houses. This transformation thing should be very active, whether it's trees or whatever. And quickly that died because we couldn't afford to do that. But that would be really cool. But for me, it wasn't so much what didn't get in. What got in to me is canon and great, and I love it, and I'm fine with it. And we got a lot in. We got almost everything in we wanted to. But it was more like I had fantasies of little spin-offs, like a 5-minute RC and Grimm travel adventure series, an alien hunt with Meteor and Cosmos, little side series that was 5 minutes each. Maybe like Starscream therapy sessions. That would have been a great little side series, just like little things like that. But that's not something that they would put the money for. Or even like Thunderwolf, seeing him in his medieval, world and stuff. Yeah, that would have been awesome. So it was more just wanting to explore more of what we had.
What are some of your favorite and least favorite episodes and moments?
Yeah, so there's a lot that I like, but I did look at this idea and try to come up with one from each season, because there were episodes that meant something to us, I think, and meant something to me personally, that may not be favorite episodes or the best or whatever. But Megatron, My Hero, was a huge turning point for us, where we realized how we could be irreverent or kind of fresh with the material, how we could pack a lot of stuff in. I love that Bumblebee is high-fiving with Shockwave at the beginning, and how Megatron and Optimus have that conversation that felt to me just like a really good moment, like a real moment between the two of them. And the ending didn't quite work because there was another little bit in there that got cut out. We wrote the script too long, and so sometimes things happen like that with an 11-minute show.
What was the bit before we moved?
Well, it was just a buffer, because right now it's kind of crazy, this intense. Oh yeah, and that we were able to get that intense thing with Bumblebee, his throat has been ripped out, right? And then there was some kind of buffer because the very last moment is like a slapstick moment where he's returned to, and he goes bang against the ceiling, and it just doesn't work. On the other hand, our mistakes are Cyberverse as well, so I accept that. Yeah, but there was something in there that buffered that, and it didn't make it so abrupt. And then, like in season 2, there's a lot of episodes I liked. I just would pick out Party Down though, because the feeling that we brought to Optimus, and the fact I just love the moment when he realizes it's a surprise party and he shuts his mask. And then I love how he gives his speech. He's giving the same damn speech he gives to like rally people for war, but it's to have fun, and he doesn't know how to do it, and so he's all like, in that same mode. And then like how like he's the guy who sneaks out of the party and like is just looking at the stars because like he doesn't know what to say to people. But in the end, Optimus, as always, comes through, and if this party needs to party down, he's gonna do it, and so he does. And I felt that was another shade in his character that was sweet and kind of compelling and cool. That like this guy, he's very limited Optimus. We always looked upon him as a very robot. He's got a mission that's so fixed. It's hard for him to have small talk or anything else, and it was nice to see that side. So, and then the third season for me, the scientist. I really loved the scientist episode. The voice for the scientist and the voice for a few other characters. We kind of went through a phase of, because sometimes with voice actors, you want to figure out what is the voice for the new character, and you might suggest to them Orson Welles, and then they'll do some imitation of Orson Welles, and it sounds like Orson Welles. And for this, I kind of suggested, I think I suggested Boris Karloff. And like people know Boris Karloff, he played Frankenstein, but his voice isn't that fresh to people, so we just played a little clip. What was cool was, and we did this with a couple other characters, Repugnus is Peter Lorre, and Vincent Price is another character as well. And so, but the thing was, when the voice actors would hear the short clip, that voice wasn't so familiar to them, so they would make it their own. They'd do a bad imitation, but that was cool because they actually created a new voice that worked really well. Like the scientist voice worked really well. Repugnus, you can kind of hear it if you hear Peter Lorre. Repugnus. And Peter Lorre always kind of talked like that. So that was kind of a fun. What was your question?
Favorite and least favorite.
Oh, favorite. I love that stuff. And then season 4 to me.
We are now going to discuss spoilers for Cyberverse's series finale. If you don't want to hear anything, skip to this time code displayed on the screen.
Like, I was watching the completed version, and of course I was involved with it all the way through. When we got to the moment where Soundwave says, Soundwave superior, Tarn inferior, I choked up. I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew everything, and then I started to feel like I wanted to cry. And then we got to Hot Rod, and I was just like, oh my God. And then we got to the hug, and I was like really moved, and I was like, this is crazy. I shouldn't feel anything. Like, I've seen this a million times. And then Hood said the same thing happened to him when he watched the animatic when he got to that moment. So I was like, and then I started seeing people reacted really well to that, and maybe we were taking on that same journey. I feel like what we did there was really interesting to me because in a way it parallels what happens in a real death. You know, the shock of it, the loss of someone you thought you would never lose, the friends coming together, the loved ones, and hopefully there's hope for the future. But also, I think in a way what we did unconsciously was make you feel the death of Cyberverse, the show. To feel sad about it, but also feel like, hey, it's always going to be here. The warmth of these characters, they love each other. You can watch them again. It's over, but like it lives. I mean, that was kind of like something I came to a couple of weeks ago when I was watching it. So those are favorite moments. Biggest regrets? You had a question about that? Mm-hmm. One of my biggest regrets, oh my God, I hate myself for this, is size ratio. Because we didn't show humans or much human habitation, we never got in, maybe in a few of the early moments when we're showing YouTube clips, we never got in the difference between Transformer sizes and human sizes, which is so cool. I love a giant robot. I worked on a previous show called Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, giant robot. And we never really got, because like they always like ordinary people, and then they put them, I don't know why, they designed huge spaces for them. So I felt like they looked like small people. And I always wanted, we did do the Titan. So that was cool to see something really big. And I think in, having Volcanicus was bigger. But I missed that size ratio. And then there's and showing more human stuff, which we just couldn't do. There was a character, I don't really miss this, but there was I pitched a character upwards that got rejected. The idea was that the episode where Bumblebee goes into a city, and basically the idea would be he'd find Teletran X, and that the actual console that maybe fell out of the ship or something, and that it was being played by some old weirdo who was playing progressive rock on the street, like a street musician, and he was using, and they realized, oh, it's Teletran X. And they were just like, what is that? No. And they were right. That was a totally bad idea. But I don't really miss that idea. Yeah, so biggest regrets otherwise, the good and the bad, I take it all and love it all because we did I think we really did the best we could and tried to make the best show we could. So yeah.
I wanted to ask, looking back at Cyberverse with all of it in the rearview mirror, how satisfied are you with your work on the show and the show overall?
I would like just to say, because you had another question about favorite characters. Or did you not?
I don't think I had that question, but
if that's not on the approved
welcome
list,
to answer it.
I love the little ones. I love, and I know bad pronunciation, but I changed it. Teletran X. I love Repugnus. I love Cosmos. I love Chromia. I love Shadow Striker. I love Soundwave. I tend to like Cosmos. Oh my God, I have a Cosmos toy, and that was the first thing I bought the toy on eBay, and I'm like, oh, it's so cool. And Repugnus, and if you get the original G1 one, have you ever seen the original G1?
I've seen your tweets about it. It shoots like.
Oh my God, it shoots sparks. How cool. Anyway, so enough of that. So I'm sorry. Now your question was, how do we feel about it in general? I think that all of us feel great. Like, again, with animation, you have to, you deal with the idea that not all of it's going to be good or perfect. And so I think that a lot of us were OCD in our own ways. And so that helps because you're pushing as hard as you can to try to make it good. And therefore, a lot of it will be good. Some of it won't be. The starting point for me was robots fighting a millennia-long war. What's that like? And how do each one of them react to that? And what kind of people are they when they've been doing this? And to be able to show character growth like Shadow Striker, I love how we were able to take her through that change. She was unredeemable at the beginning, and Soundwave have always been my favorite character, even when I didn't know Transformers. And we wanted to do more things with him too. Like we had fantasies of him visiting like rock festivals or Brazilian music festivals because he loves music. How were we going to build a Brazilian music festival? We couldn't do that. But I love how he plays his own music, and I would love a Soundwave spin-off show too. I think that could work. So I don't think we have any regrets. I think we're really, really pleased with it, except for the fact that no one in the outside world. I'm so happy that Transformers fans liked it, but that it's a secret. No one in the outside world really knows anything about it. Mm-hmm. And yet, I think if you watch it straight through, because I've done that, I've got a compilation of seasons 1 through 3 straight through. And when you watch it straight through, it feels coherent. And once you get past season 4, and it feels really good to watch, and you can see it. You can see the little things that are built up. So we're proud. Yeah, happy. And thank you. And I really appreciate yourself interviewing me, as you are my first interview.
Really?
Yeah, I was told before the show started that we'd have all these interviews with the press. That didn't really happen. You are probably my last interview as well. Hopefully not in my life, but for Cyberverse. And so it's a special thing, and I appreciate you immortalizing it, even though we ripped you off.
Yeah,
which I don't regret.
I appreciate you doing this. Can you pinky promise that there's no surprise season 5 just around the corner?
Dude, you know about this.
Oh, you're right.
I told you all about season 5. It's 500 1-minute episodes. And it should start rolling out in about 6 months. So it's taken a lot of work. We're really proud of it. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but we'll just go. No, I'd say Cyberverse is a show that is I don't, who knows, but I have the feeling it's over because there's new shows coming out, and this is the nature of Transformers. It always reinvents itself. Look at how you're touching your Thunderwolf. Who's your favorite there on your table?
I think the Grimlock is just
the Grimlock,
really good toy.
It is a good toy, yeah.
because like, I don't know if you'll be offended by this, but I feel like a lot of the toys they released in the first couple years just were like, they didn't even like fully transform. It was like, this wind blade half transforms. It's a jet with legs. So I don't know.
Oh, that was. I looked at those and I asked everybody else, "Is this normal for like Transformers toys? Because this looks so weird." I had no idea. I was shocked. Cyberverse is special. It was special because of the people I worked with, and because of what we were able to produce, and because of the connection with the fans. And so it's a highlight of my career. I'm really proud of it, and really happy that people enjoyed it.